Planning, the first step of the writing process. So what is the planning process? So the definition Professor Anderson gave us was generating content by gathering information from reading, prior knowledge, and talking with others to help organize writing. This basically means you get influenced by your surroundings, the people you talk to, the books you read, that type of thing. Why is studying the planning process worth it? Well, it's worth it because different authors opens new ideas and perspectives on writing. This helps new and upcoming writers to discover what could work for them possibly. Another interesting idea is maybe certain methods of planning are better at targeting specific audiences. For example, if you're trying to write a thriller, maybe it's best if you don't already know the end, so you're writing it as the audience would read it, so it makes it more interesting. How do authors approach planning in the writing process? That was my research question, and I found a few answers. First one, they just have one core concept, and they just write about that. It's just start to finish, pretty simple. Second one, a little more interesting, they have the end, and they start from the beginning, and they write to that end point. And the last one, they plan out everything from start to finish. From the start, they have chapters after chapter after chapter planned out all the way to the end. Some examples that you may have used in grade school or still use are the mind map. You see in the upper left where you have the center idea, the center plot, and then you have subgenres or sub-ideas around it, I guess I should say, and then ideas going to that. Then you have a story arc where you have the setup, the climax, and the resolution, 3 important plot points. And the last one where you have the flow chart. And the flow chart has almost every quote planned out from start to finish, very, very predetermined of what the story is going to sound like. The interviews I chose to do first are of Jo Knowles. She starts with the main plot points and creates a storyboard based on that, very much like number 3 I just went over. The start of it from chapter 1 to whatever, she has every chapter like 3 or 4 words to find exactly what's going to happen, and then she goes back and she connects those dots. This, she says, helps her really focus on word choice, and although it may take longer over other planning processes, she can get a much closer to final product than, let's say, someone like Stephen King would, next person I interviewed, who literally just gets one idea and just starts writing about it and sees where he ends up. This interview, though, was very interesting because Stephen King is close friends with John Irving, and he talks on his behalf of his writing process. Where John Irving, he likes to write the end of his book, go back to the beginning, and connect to there. He says this helps keep him focused because if he started from the beginning, he would just get lost in too many different directions and wouldn't really have an end goal and would just keep writing forever. It wouldn't really help him. The last interview I looked over was of Elena Ferrante. She likes, just like Stephen King, she just starts from one idea with no formal outline. She just gets that idea and just goes with it. She's quoted saying, "Even a brief oral summary makes the desire to write what I have in my mind vanish," which is pretty consistent with what Stephen King said. And this is what I've consistent with most authors I've actually read. The other two are kind of outliers. They just write their story, go back, revise it, change the order. When it comes to me, I am very similar. Only difference is that I'm not good enough where I can just write wherever I want. Normally it's for an assignment, so I need to look for what my audience is and look for my genre. This controls my word choice, and it controls, most likely, it's probably not going to be an exciting book or an exciting story. It has to be very PG, very contained, that type of thing. I just, after I get those two things, I just scan through ideas. I look at other people, famous people who know what they're doing, and then I just do the same thing Elena did, just change the order and revise it after I have my story on paper. So the summary of what I've got from this is that all different writers have different methods. More experienced authors can come up with plots in their head with little to no planning involved. Authors that are less confident and don't have lots of years of experience They like to hash out an entire storyboard, which makes sense because they can't free write and pull out a full story and plan for the future and make foreshadowing in that story, which I think is very crucial. And then there's another type of authors who can somehow write the last line of their story and then write an entire book before that, which I can't imagine doing. That sounds insanely difficult. But in the end, though, planning is very unique for each author. Sometimes there may be a different method for different genres, but overall, I feel like if you know what you want to do and you have a certain planning method that works for you, just go with it because everybody's different. So anyways, that's about all. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned a little bit about different writing methods. Have a good one.